Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well and welcome to this month's brand new tier list video. Yes, the time has come to dive into a new tier list category. I started this tier list series a couple of months back, and in June we talked about the Disney live action remakes. In July we went through 30 years of Best Picture Oscar winners. So if you want to check out those two previous videos, you can do so on my channel. I do have a tier list playlist there that you can check out. But today it's time to take a break from the movie realm and dive into television for the first time. And as you probably saw from this title, today we are going to be diving into TV show comedies. I am so excited. I am so excited because I like to laugh. I like to have a good time, okay? And we have a great selection of TV shows to go through today, so I can't wait to dive into them with you guys. But do take note, okay, that there are many TV show comedies out there, okay, from the last few decades. And so this is just going to be a part one of the TV show comedy category that can be further explored in the future. I'm not going to continue it next month, I don't think. I think I want to mix things up again, but just keep in mind that this isn't the full selection. I have about 85 on my list, you know, of TV show comedies, so like there's a lot out there. And today we're going to be diving into about 27. So again, this is just the first part of a several parter that we'll be diving into on this channel in the future. But I think for this first part we have some good material to work with, so I'm still really excited. So guys, if that sounds good to you, then stay tuned. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like my tier list series, and also make sure that you are subscribed to this channel if you aren't already. And also remember, I'm always happy to hear more tier list video ideas from you guys. I did get a few recommendations that I will be 100% incorporating into the series in the future. I already have some plans, okay? So be sure to share your ideas down in the comments below if you have any fun ones for this series. Okay guys, now without further ado, let's dive into the tier list for TV show comedies. Now before I explain the meaning of each of the tiers for this category, I did just want to quickly explain what I mean by TV show comedies. I was initially going to restrict this to just sitcoms, but I wanted there to be a bit more flavor. I wanted there to be a bit more variety, you know. There are so many TV show comedies out there that don't quite fit into the sitcom format, especially in this new streaming era. And so I wanted to open up the category to them as well. So they're all gonna be in this pile, okay? We're gonna get a huge mixture of TV show comedies here, and I think that's great. I think that's something that's a lot more exciting than just having a bunch of sitcoms. But that does mean that there's a bunch more TV shows to consider, and so that's why this is probably going to be broken up into several parts. And also, just to let you know, when it comes to how I chose the selection for today's video, it was just random. I sorted them out into alphabetical order, and then I just picked random ones that we could discuss today. So there's going to be some here that I love, there's going to be some here that I've never heard of. Like, it's going to be a nice mixture. I'm actually really excited. Okay, so now it's time to dive into each of the categories, which is one of my favorite parts of these videos, always, okay? So starting us off, the first top tier creme de la creme category that we have in this tier list is Not Just a Joke. Not Just a Joke is a deceiving name because you think like, like it's a bit underwhelming, but I didn't know how else to label this tier that essentially is dedicated to the comedies that do more than just make you chuckle. Like the comedies that do more than just make you guffaw. Like, these are the comedies that make you think. These are the comedies that dive into all of these different, you know, social commentary. They have layers to them. They're more intellectual and just more innovative as comedies. They have that comedic element there for sure, but there's more to them, okay? They're elite. And so the Not Just a Joke tier is designed to give these comedies their due, because they did the comedy thing, They did it well, but then they gave us something so much more, and that deserves praise. Next up, we have Home Sweet Home. This is this is the category for the comedies that have a special place in my heart and soul. These are the comedies that I will rewatch time and time again. There are certain comedies that I like. There are even certain comedies that I love, and we'll talk about them in a second. But then there are the other comedies that just feel like home to me. Like watching these comedies bring me so much joy and so much, you know, warmth and comfort. I've watched them time and time again. Like, these are comedies that have been rewatched at least twice. Okay, so this is really a personal category, but this speaks to the comedies that really just have a special place in my heart. They are Home Sweet Home to me. And then the next tier down is Howling, Cackling, Guffawing. Howling, Cackling, Guffawing. Okay, these are the comedies that are funny. These are the funny girls. Okay, these are the comedies that I love, but I wouldn't catch myself rewatching anytime soon. These comedies don't quite feel like home, but boy are they a good time. Boy are they a fun watch. Okay, next tier down we have is Cue Laughing Track. Cue Laughing Track. Cue Laughing Track is when we're not quite howling, we're not quite cackling, we're not quite guffawing, we're, you know, chuckling. But then the laughing track adds to it adds to the funniness, it adds to the humor. And so this tier is reserved for comedies that they're funny, they're cute, they're fun, but they need a little help from a laughing track. They need a little help to kind of bring them over the edge. And so that's what that category is for. Next up, we have quite the decline with Crickets. Not even the laughing track could help, I'm afraid. Not even the laughing, like, oh, this is like, oh, okay. And listen, you guys may love these comedies. There's nothing against them at all. It's just that for me personally, I'm not seeing the humor. Like, I'm not seeing the chuckles. I'm not seeing the guffawing, okay? And the last category up we have is I Don't Know Her. And that's pretty self-explanatory. I literally do not know her. I've never watched this show in my life. And the thing is, when it comes to this category, we're going to kind of order it in a way where the closer you are to the actual bar, the more likely I am to actually catch this show eventually. So I'm going to explain it as we go along, but if it's closer to the bar and closer to the upper level, it means that I'm actually interested in checking out the show, even if I haven't watched it yet. But the further away it is along the line, it's like I don't care. I don't know her and I don't want to know her. Okay, so now that we've gone through the categories, it's time to dive into the shows themselves. Starting us off with Curb Your Enthusiasm. As I said, this is a very random order. And first one up, I'm sorry to say, I'm very sorry to say, guys, I don't know her. I don't know who she is, I'm afraid. I've never watched the show. Of course, I'm aware of Larry David and like I'm aware of the series in my periphery, but I've never actually watched it. So by all accounts, it's a great show and I'm actually interested in checking it out. So we're gonna put it, I mean, it has to go in, you know, I Don't Know Her, you know, next to the bar, and we'll see where it lands at the end. But I'm afraid I don't know her. I'm afraid I don't know her. I'm so sorry. Okay, so next up on the list we have Atlanta. Atlanta. I think we all know where this is headed. I didn't plan this. I swear, I promise you I didn't plan this. This was all random. Atlanta is not just a joke. It's not just Atlanta is elite comedy for one, okay? I mean, everyone can name their favourite Atlanta comedic scene, please. But on top of that, it delves into so much intelligent, well thought out social commentary, but then you also have that overlayer of the like Afro surrealism that Donald Glover has just perfected in this work. Atlanta is pure genius. Like, Atlanta is genuinely one of the best things to happen to television, period, let alone the genre of comedy. So yeah, Atlanta is not just a joke. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on Atlanta, I have reviews of season 3 and 4 on my channel from last year, so you can go ahead and check those out. But Well, Atlanta is top tier, top tier in every sense of the word. It does comedy well, it does social commentary well, it does drama, it does music, like everything is done spectacularly well when it comes to Atlanta. Phenomenal. I can't speak enough praise when it comes to Atlanta. Brilliant show. Okay, so next up on the list we have Moesha. I'm afraid I don't know her as well, but I actually really want to check her out. So Moesha was a sitcom series starring Brandy from the 90s, and so it was a little bit before my time because I was born in the late 90s, so I never really checked it out growing up, but I did see that it was available on Netflix a couple of months back here in the UK, so I would really be interested in checking it out. I can't really judge it based off its, quality or anything, because I haven't watched it. So unfortunately, I don't know her, but I want to get to know her, and I want to get to know her more than Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I'm going to put her closer to the bar to show that I'm more enthusiastic about checking her out. Okay, so next up we have The Other Two. This is the series that I started watching earlier this year. It became like somewhat of a sleeper hit because people started talking about it on Twitter. People were talking about it and they would have these like clips from it, and it seemed like it had some really intelligent commentary about social media, about the entertainment industry. Here we have, the other two being the older siblings of this Justin Bieber-like character, this young teenage boy who becomes insanely popular, even though his talents are debatable. And then you also have his mother, who's his momager, and she's been taking care of his career but also benefiting from it herself, and she's become a star in her own right. And so you see throughout the seasons how each of the family members are dealing with being in the limelight somewhat, and especially when it comes to the older siblings, they were kind of losers. They were kind of people who never really made it, even though they wanted to be dancers and actors respectively. Seeing their younger brother's fame has kind of reinvigorated that drive for fame themselves, and so chaos ensues, and it's a really cool premise and it's a really cool show for the most part. But my thing was, watching the series, it was never really as funny as the clips on Twitter led me to believe. Like on Twitter, because people had chosen these clips specifically, and they would just be so perfect for these wild situations that were happening in pop culture in real life, I felt like the show was just so sharp, so funny, so accurate. But watching the series as a whole, it just didn't have that same energy and it didn't have that same wit to it. There was a lot of like dead moments and just a lot of fluff, and so I was a little bit disappointed, honestly. But again, that was even before the drama happened with the creators of the show, who apparently modeled the main characters of the series off of themselves. If you look at the pictures of the two, it's crazy to see the resemblance. But it turns out that the series behind the scenes had a very toxic environment, and it just wasn't great. And so that kind of put me off finishing the series at all, honestly. I think I'm on season 3. But I'm just like, maybe I'll watch it whilst I'm editing something. I don't know. But anywho, when it comes to this series' position on the tier list, I'm gonna put it at Q laughing track. Yeah, Q laughing track, because there were moments where it was really, really funny. Like I said, like there were moments where it was so, brilliant when it came to its social commentary, especially again in the realm of entertainment and social media. But then there was just a lot of it that was kind of cringe. So I'm going to give it a Q laughing track. Okay, so next up on the list we have, oh my God. I promise you I'm not planning this. I promise you this is just the order that the list came in. But we have Abbott Elementary. Guys, do I need to say anything? Do I need to tell you? You already know. Abbott Elementary is genius. Abbott Elementary is one of the best things to happen to television in a long while. Long while. Abbott Elementary is the last vestige of the classic American sitcom that we currently have. Let's think about that for a second, especially in the wake of all of these actor and writer strikes. Abbott Elementary is one of the last heroes of old television. So, you know, it deserves respect just on that front. But also, the show is good. Also, the show is hilarious. It has incredible commentary, especially about the American education system and public schools and how underfunded they are, how underfunded and underappreciated teachers are. I mean, this is just a multifaceted, brilliant series created by Quinta Brunson, and it's perfectly acted. The comedy is brilliant. Like, everything just comes together in this perfect way when it comes to Abbott Elementary. So absolutely, it's not just a joke. It's not just no. It's funny. Okay, it's so funny, but it's also so much more than just about the hee-hees and ha-has. It's a brilliant series. Okay, so next up we have Friends. This is where I could make some enemies. Ooh. The thing is, I kind of know her because I gave her many chances. I actually tried. First of all, if we could just rewind back again, remember what I said? I was born in the late 90s. So I wasn't on the Friends vibe when it was airing in the early 2000s. I was in the Disney Channel vibe. I was in the Nickelodeon vibe. Okay, I was watching Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And I wasn't watching Friends. So keep that in mind, okay? But as I got older, I was like, let me see what this show is about, especially when it landed on Netflix and the whole world went crazy for it. I was like, let me check it out, okay? And I watched a few episodes. I did. And this is even putting aside the fact that this was apparently a copy of the Black TV series Living Single, but I haven't watched that series either, so I can't comment too much on that. But just pointing it out. But Friends has never really hit me like it seems to have hit other people. Like, this is one of the most successful TV shows, not even just sitcoms, TV shows of all time. Okay, we're talking the cast getting paid millions per episode and still to this day raking it in residuals. Like, this is a classic. This is a titan of television, and I've just never gotten it. I've just never understood. So I'm afraid, Friends, with all due respect, I'm gonna have to put her in cricket. I know, but like, I'm not vibing to this. It's not for me, I'm afraid. So we're gonna have to put her in cricket, and we're gonna have to swiftly move along because there's many other shows that we need to get through. Okay, so next up on the list, we have another classic. Oh, this order is tough. We have another classic with Sex in the City. I actually don't know her. I'm just going to put her in I don't know her because I've never actually watched a full episode of this damn show. So, like, I don't know her. Okay, I'm already sensing the flack I'm going to get for Friends. So, like, I don't want to deal with Sex and the City as well. And I genuinely don't know her. Like, I've never watched a full episode of this series because it was giving very Caucasian. It was giving very Caucasus. So I've never really been attracted to this series. Not to say that it doesn't have its black fans. I'm sure it does. But me personally, again, the age that I'm at and also the demographic and also the country, like, I've just never really connected to Sex and the City. So I did watch the prequel series, the Carrie Diaries, for a little bit there. That came out a few years back, and it starred Austin Butler. So, like, I checked out a couple of episodes of that. And then swiftly moved on with my life. So, you know, that's my exposure to Sex and the City. Next up, we have another Tyler James Williams joint with Everybody Hates Chris. This is a classic. This is an absolute classic. And I know that if I was born about 5 years earlier, this would probably be one of my favorite shows growing up. But as it stands, I kind of checked this out like later after the fact. And so it doesn't have the same like special place in my heart as some of the Disney Channel shows. One of these days we're going to do a Disney Channel video and you guys are going to know me better than you ever But we're not there yet. But when it comes to Everybody Hates Chris, you know, I think it's a really fun series. But I don't have that special connection to it the way that some people may have if they're slightly older than me. So I'm gonna put her in howling, cackling, guffawing. Yeah, howling, cackling, guffawing. Okay, so next up on the list, we have a recent addition to this roster, and that is Schitt's Creek. A masterpiece. A true icon. Schitt's Creek is such a brilliant series. Oh man, I really miss it actually, now that I'm seeing it here. But this was a phenomenal Canadian series that was about this, you know, formerly rich family that loses it all because of fraud. So they're forced to move into this town that they inexplicably own, and you have these wacky characters like Moira. But the whole family is just so hilarious, so fun, and so lovable. I really came to enjoy this series so much. It's one of my favorites from the last few years. Again, one of the last vestiges of a traditional sitcom. Absolutely brilliant. Dan Levy knocked the series out of the park when it came to writing it. So yeah, it's absolutely one of my favorites. But when it comes to its position on this list, I'm gonna put this in howling, cackling, and guffawing. I'm tempted to put this in Home Sweet Home, but I haven't rewatched it, so it would be dishonest of me to do so. And also keep in mind that this is just, again, the first part to a several-parter when it comes to TV show comedies, so we might end up with a full Home Sweet Home category, and so we need to reserve the spaces for shows that I've actually rewatched. So to be honest, I do want to rewatch Schitt's Creek, absolutely, but because it ended so recently, I haven't gotten around to it yet. So I'm going to put this in howling, cackling, and I'm going to put it above Everybody Hates Chris. Okay, so next up on the list, we have Blackish. Okay, so Blackish is a TV series about a Black, like, middle class family. I think this is also a traditional ABC sitcom. Unfortunately, though, I've never watched it. I've actually never watched I think, like, I watched parts of episodes occasionally, but it never really gripped me. There was something a bit, as the Americans would say, corny. So unfortunately, I don't know her. And I didn't really want to know her all that much. I'm still going to put her above Sex and the City because I really don't care about her. But I think I do want to check out Curb Your Enthusiasm a lot more than I do Blackish. So we're going to leave that there. Next up, we have a more niche sitcom series that's also currently still running. And it's called Home Economics. And I believe it's on Hulu or something. I actually watched this series. I don't know where I got up to. I was definitely on season 2, but I don't know if I finished season 2. Anyways, it's a really good show. It's a really fun show. It's about, again, this family. You know, sitcoms love a good family. They love a good family. Except these days, these families tend to be a little bit more diverse, and they tend to have, you know, different kinds of characters representing different kinds of underrepresented groups. So, for instance, here we have the sister who's in like a lesbian relationship with that woman from SNL who I really liked. So yeah, you know, they have a bit more modernity to it. Some could even call it a modern family. But yeah, this is a really fun series starring Topher Grace, who plays this dad and husband who also is an author, but he's kind of struggling at the moment, and you know, he's dealing with some financial issues with his family, and they have a bunch of kids, and so there's stress added to that. And then you have, you know, his younger brother who's this like finance bro who's super wealthy. Okay, he's super rich. He lives in this gorgeous mansion. And then you have like his sister who's of more like modest income. She's a teacher or something, so like financially they're struggling. Financially they're not doing well. Watch Abbott Elementary to find out why. So basically the series explores all of the shenanigans surrounding these three siblings who are in different tax brackets, shall we say, and that's where the home economics name comes in. So it's fun, like it's a fun show to have, especially in the background whilst I'm editing. But I have fallen off a little bit. I haven't caught up to it in a while. So in terms of the category that I would put home economics in, I would say it belongs in Q laughing track. Yeah. Cue laughing track. Definitely not crickets, but we need that laughing track to amp up the comedy a lot of the times, to be honest. Next up on the list, we have Kim's Convenience. Ooh! Cinema. Yep, absolutely. Cinema. I love Kim's Convenience. Such a good series. This is yet another Canadian sitcom. This time around, it centers on a South Korean family who own a convenience store in Toronto, I think they are, or in Vancouver or somewhere in Canada. Anywho, but you know, shenanigans ensue, chaos ensues, and this was, of course, the first major role that Simu Liu had before he became Shang-Chi. But the entire cast is brilliant on this series. Like, they're so phenomenal, and you know, you do have exploration of this family that is, you know, an immigrant family from South Korea, and their lives, you know, being a part of this Canadian culture. We do have an exploration of South Korean culture in this series, and that definitely plays a huge role in how these family members interact with one another, which is, you know, really insightful and really great to see, especially for such an underrepresented group. You know, I mean, just take a look at the sitcoms that I've been talking about so far, and you already know, okay? So it's great to see this kind of representation, but also, above all else, the series is hilarious. The series is funny. The series is good, okay? But in terms of its placement here on my tier list, I would put it at howling, cackling, and guffawing. Similarly to Schitt's Creek, but I would put it below Schitt's Creek and above Everybody Hates Chris. Okay, next up on the list, we have another recent sensation that's actually still on the air, and that is What We Do in the Shadows. Listen, if you've been paying attention, if you've been here for a while, then you know. Then you've been new, okay? I'm a huge fan of What We Do in the Shadows. Yes, I am. I think FX is low-key so underrated. FX has some of the most brilliant series out there, and like, no one gives it credit. It's crazy. Like, FX is really out here just going under the radar with these phenomenal series. Between Atlanta and What We Do in the Shadows, it definitely deserves more praise than it gets. But What We Do in the Shadows is genius. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal. It is, of course, the TV show adaptation of the 2014 film of the same name, that was written and produced by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clements. So they are executive producers on this series, and it has that kind of same type of comedy that we've come to know and love from Taika Waititi's best works. And I think it's just one of the best TV show adaptations of a movie that we've ever gotten, because they managed to translate that same, you know, comedy style, that same kind of low budget indie movie feeling, but with these brand new characters that have just become so amazing, so lovable. And also, they've created enough plot to sustain the series for several seasons now. I think we're on season 5 or 6. Like, it's truly remarkable what they have been able to get out of this world and this source material, and they've done it so spectacularly well. So I love the cast here. Oh my god, I love this cast. They are my family, okay? Again, yet another family being explored here, this time around a family of vampires. But I also love the world of Staten Island that they've created. I love the camera people that we never get to see in this mockumentary style. Like, I love everything about this campy, wild, bizarre series that is just so freaking funny. So with that in mind, I'm gonna put this in Home Sweet Home, because I have in fact rewatched the earlier seasons of this series. I used to rewatch them every time a brand new season came on, but this year I haven't had the chance to do so. But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows is my home. Like, it's my heart and soul. It is literally my everything. Okay, so next up, we're going back in time once again to a classic. Here we have Fresh Prince. Guys, Guys, okay, so remember when I said, rewinding again, remember when I said that I was born in the late 90s? Like, that's true. That's true, that's true. And this is a 90s series, so you might be thinking, like, oh, Jean won't have the same connection to Fresh Prince as she did to the Disney Channel shows. And you'd be correct. It's not the exact same connection, but back in the day, okay, when I first came to the UK, okay, as a 2-year-old, the only channels that we could watch in our home was the first 5 channels. 5 channels that we had. Okay, it was BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5. That's all we had here in our London flat, okay, when I first came to this country. And lo and behold, one of the shows that I think it was Channel 4 used to show all the time after school was Fresh Prince. It would be, I think, Fresh Prince first and then The Simpsons. And then everything after that was irrelevant to me and I had to go to sleep. But I got to see Fresh Prince every single day after school. And so that is my ride or die. Don't try me. Don't try me. Fresh Prince is in my blood. Fresh Prince taught me probably English, actually, to be fair. So let's not waste any time. Home sweet home. Home sweet home. The literal definition of it, like Fresh Prince is... yeah, it was everything. It was everything. Absolutely. Before I got access to the Disney Channel, to Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, you know, before I had access to the Skybox with 800 different channels, okay, Fresh Prince was one of the few things that I had. Okay, so it has a special place in my heart forever. Okay, so next up, oh my god, this order is so random. It feels like we keep going on this like roller coaster ride of like love, don't care, love, don't care. And since I just talked about how much I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, naturally, the next one is irrelevant to me. Next up, we have 2.5 Men. Yeah. I want you guys to guess. What do you guys think I'm going to say? That's correct. That is in fact correct. I don't know her and I don't care to know her. She's right at the back at this point. Like it couldn't be further away from my interests, like honestly. But maybe you guys have watched 2.5 Men and you enjoyed it. Please let me know down in the comments. But for now, like I literally have no interest whatsoever. So I don't know this girl. I don't know her and I don't care to. Okay, so next up on the list we have Fresh Off the Boat. This is a series that I believe centers on an Asian American family. And it's yet another one that I never got a chance to check out. So I actually don't know her, but in the kindest possible way. I'd be more than happy to check her out, honestly. I just kind of forgot to. So I would put this in... I'll probably put this above Blackish, actually, because I did check out Blackish a little bit and I didn't love what I saw. Whereas when it comes to Fresh Off the Boat, I've never even seen a part of an episode, so I'm willing to go into it with an open mind. So I'm going to put it above Blackish in that I don't know her category. Okay, so next up on the list, we have... my raison d'etre, actually, like my reason of being, my reason of existing, Insecure. Issa Rae's Insecure. Again, I have reviews for season 5 and season 6, I believe. So you guys can check out those reviews if you want to hear more of my thoughts. Let's not waste any time because we have quite a few to go through. This is not just a joke. Not just a joke. This is actually my life. Well, it's not really my life. If I had an older sister who, you know, grew up in Inglewood, it would be her life. But you know, this series has such a special place in my heart. And I know that people, you know, who are slightly older than me, they had girlfriends, right? Like that was their sitcom of choice. A sitcom that was centered on these like young black women kind of making it through life. And that's great. But that was, again, before my time. So I've never really watched Girlfriends. And if that comes up in the future, then you already know my thoughts. But Insecure, like the Insecure was that for me. Like, Insecure was everything to me. And to this day, we have yet to see an adequate replacement for this series. There is a huge gaping hole in Hollywood that Insecure left behind when it ended last year. And I'm still really upset about it. But anywho, Insecure is a phenomenal series exploring the life of this like young millennial black girl, you know, living in Inglewood, trying to figure things out when it comes to friendships, relationships, career paths, all of that, whilst also being like hilarious, because Issa Rae is truly a genius. I don't know what to tell you. So relatable, so funny, and just one of a kind. And again, we've yet to see a replacement for it. And some people might step up to the podium and be like, oh, but there's that Amazon Prime series called Harlem. Like I said, we've yet to see a replacement for Insecure. But in terms of Insecure's placement in the top category, I'm gonna put it above Abbott Elementary. To be fair, okay. And maybe above Atlanta. Oh, I love Insecure. I really do. But more than Atlanta. No. I'm going to put it second to Atlanta. Yeah. I think that makes sense. Oh, this is getting tricky, you know. But yeah, Atlanta is just so special and just so one of a kind. Like, I can't. So Insecure is a very strong second place so far, but we'll see how things shake up in the end. Okay, so next up on the list, we have The Bear. Oh, remember when I said this was a roller coaster ride? Yeah, no, right now we're just doing this. We're on an incline for sure, because The Bear, let's not waste any time. The Bear is heading straight to the top category. Listen, before I lose my mind, I do want to address the fact that The Bear is here in this like comedy video. I do think The Bear is a comedy. I mean, it's classed as a comedy, and I do think there are enough comedic moments for that to be justified. I do understand people saying that it's not quite a comedy because it dives into like, you know, family, generational trauma, and, you know, PTSD from working in fine dining. Like, it ties into a lot of things that aren't quite funny. But I think it balances it out with a lot of comedic moments, a lot of funny characters. And so I do think that it should be classed as a comedy, maybe a dark comedy or something along those lines. Either way, I want it to be in this video. Okay, I want it to be in this video, and I make the rules because it's my channel. So we're gonna put The Bear in the top tier category of comedies, where it's certainly not just a joke. The real question is, though, where is it going in the top tier? Because now this top tier category is looking stacked. We're talking Abbott Elementary, Insecure, and Atlanta, and The Bear is joining this category. I really love The Bear. And it might be recency bias. I mean, it's going above Abbott Elementary, and it might be going above Insecure as well. But I hesitate to put it above Atlanta. I'm sorry. I do think that Atlanta is a stronger comedy. Let's be real. Like, Atlanta is like hilarious. So I think second place. Okay, The Bear is the new second place on the list. Damn, this is getting tricky though. It's getting spicy. Okay, let's see if anything else tops it. Okay, so next up we have Grownish. So clearly nothing is topping The Bear anytime soon. Similarly with Blackish, I'm not really interested in Grownish, I'm afraid. In fact, I've never seen even so much as a clip from this series, if I'm being honest. All I know is that Yara Shahidi stars in it, and so do the Bailey sisters. So, like, that's all I know when it comes to Grownish. So I generally just don't know her, okay? So we're going to put her in that category, and we're going to put her behind even Sex and the City, because like I have even less interest in checking out Grownish than I do Sex and the City, if I'm being honest. So next up we have oh god, it looks like the top tier is sitting pretty for a while, because next on the list we have Young Sheldon. Not even its big brother Big Bang Theory, which isn't actually in this selection of the video, so you're gonna have to wait for part 2 or 3 to hear my thoughts on Big Bang Theory. Young Sheldon, I couldn't even tell you what the main character's name is, and it's in the title of the show. Like, I literally know nothing about her, not one single thing. So let's just put her here where she belongs and move swiftly along. Next up on the list, we have Our Flag Means Death. Oh, comedy is back. Comedy is back. I love Our Flag Means Death. And again, you guys will know this if you have been watching my videos for a while. But I love Our Flag Means Death. Oh my goodness. This was such a standout series from last year. And hang on a minute, we haven't gotten a season 2 yet. 2023 is about to be over and we haven't gotten a season 2 of Our Flag Means Death. What's going on, Taika Waititi? Anyways, I really enjoyed this series last year. I thought it was so refreshing, so fun. And it certainly wasn't just a gay pirate show, but oh boy, was it a hell of a gay pirate show. Like, I'm not gonna lie. That relationship between Steed, okay, and Blackbeard still lives in my head rent free. I'm so sorry, but that was just beautifully done. So I really love Our Flag Means Death. To me, it's on a similar level to What We Do in the Shadows, another Taika Waititi joint. But I do think that What We Do in the Shadows is more consistently brilliant and absurd. And Our Flag Means Death did have a couple of episodes that kind of dropped off just a little bit from memory. So we're going to put her behind What We Do in the Shadows and certainly behind Fresh Prince. Okay, so next up on our list, we have Jane the Virgin. Oh my god, what a throwback. I used to be obsessed with Jane the Virgin. Oh my goodness. That series was so brilliant. Taking away the Gina Rodriguez of it all. But I genuinely love Jane the Virgin so much. What a classic. What a CW staple. So this is a series that is centered on the titular character, Jane, who is a virgin at the beginning of the series anyway. You know, the spoiler alert. But she ends up being miraculously pregnant due to an accidental artificial insemination carried out by a drunk woman, a drunk doctor, who happens to be the father's sister. Anywho, chaos ensues, right? But this was actually my first introduction to telenovelas, which is amazing. But this series plays off of a lot of common tropes in telenovelas. It's very melodramatic. We have a lot of twists and turns and, you know, twins and deceit and lies and whatnot. And so I really enjoyed this series. It was such a whirlwind. I loved the cast, I loved the drama, and it was really one of a kind. I think it was really great, you know, representation for the Latino community, which again is very underrepresented, as you can see from this selection alone, especially within the realm of comedy. And so I loved the fact that they kind of took ownership of a very famous genre of television in Latin America, telenovelas, and created a sort of satire of it that was really effective and really funny, and it ran for several seasons. Again, I think about 6 seasons. 6 seasons and a movie seems to be a trend for many of these TV series. I will say, you know, just from memory, the latter seasons weren't as strong as the first ones. That tends to be the case though, right? But I really have fond memories of Jane the Virgin. You just had to be there. You just had to be there. So when it comes to the placement for Jane the Virgin on this tier list, I'm going to put her in Howling Cackling. Howling Cackling Guffawing. That series was crazy, but it was so much fun and it had such great romance as well. Like, it was a fun show. It was a really fun time. So we're gonna put her above Kim's Convenience, actually. Yeah. Okay, so next up we've returned to a classic solid sitcom series, and that is Superstore. So Superstore, funnily enough, stars America Ferrera, and this is a series that is essentially about a work family. They all tend to be about families, right? But here we have a work family that works at a superstore, like a Walmart or a, you know, Asda, Sainsbury's. If you're here in the UK, although Asda is owned by Walmart, funnily enough. And so yeah, you know, chaos ensues. I really love this show. I remember when I was binge watching it on Netflix a few years back, and I was like, why did no one tell me about the brilliance that is Superstore? I feel like it's so underrated. It's so funny. America Ferrera is brilliant in it, but the whole cast is phenomenal. It's definitely in the like The Office style. Like, we've seen this kind of thing before, but the setting of the Superstore, like the setting of being in customer service, it just brings about so many comedic scenarios that it truly, it wrote itself. It seemed like it wrote itself. And then they even had a season that took place during the pandemic. I think it was the final season, which again was season 6, you know, again, 6 seasons in a movie. And the pandemic season was beyond the pandemic season of Superstore. So many shows dropped during their pandemic seasons. Like, either they chose not to address the pandemic, you know, or they decided to go for, you know, pandemic commentary, and it was like wah. It was with mixed success. But Superstore rose to the occasion, and it was funnier than ever, especially that first episode with the shortage of toilet paper. Like, we're talking gold here. The writers mined that gold so well. So I am a huge fan of Superstore, actually. If you've never checked out this series, I highly recommend it. It was on Netflix here in the UK. I'm not sure if it still is, but just check it out, okay? Check it out, because it's well worth your time, and it will definitely give you a chuckle. So I'm going to definitely put this at howling, cackling, guffawing. Okay, because that's exactly what the series made me do. Although, to be fair, I've never gone back to rewatch it, so I can't quite put it in Home Sweet Home. Okay, so next up we have a British staple in the Inbetweeners. I'm about to disappoint every single British person who watches this channel. I'm about to disappoint. I'm about to be reported to the Home Office. I've never actually watched the Inbetweeners. I'm so sorry. I've never watched the Inbetweeners. I know I'm disappointing you right now. I don't know what to tell you. The funny thing is, I was, you know, in the right age range, so like I could have been watching the series, but it just seemed like a bit like laddish, you know, like it seemed like, you know, white English bloke-ish. So I never really checked it out. It wasn't quite within the realm of what I was watching at the time. Like, I was into like Twilight and the Vampire Diaries. You know, that's where my head was at during this teenagehood era of mine. And so I wasn't really into the Inbetweeners. So unfortunately, sorry to disappoint, because I'm a Brit and I like TV shows and whatnot, but I don't know her. I'm sorry. I don't know her, but I do eventually want to check her out, maybe. When it comes to my placement in the I don't know her category, I would put her after Curb Your Enthusiasm, because I should get to know her as a Brit. Like, I should I should at least introduce myself to her. Next up on the list, we have a sensation. We have an iconic classic of a TV sitcom with New Girl. I don't make the rules. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actually don't make the rules. Now, this is a straight up sitcom, so she's never really gonna go in It's Not Just a Joke, but she's definitely Home Sweet Home. Oh, please. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've rewatched seasons of New Girl. Like, New Girl, the cast was so freaking brilliant. That on-screen chemistry is just so difficult to replicate, and you have these iconic characters like Nick and Schmidt and Winston. I know this was peak Zooey Deschanel. Peak, like we will never see we will never see a more peak version of this woman. New Girl was just like perfect. Again, found family, another family being explored here. But, I mean, this was just like a perfect scene. Like, I could put on any episode of this show and be laughing out loud all afternoon. It's just a brilliant series. I don't need to tell you guys. You already know. New Girl is definitely going to go in Home Sweet Home. But the real question is, where in Home Sweet Home is it going to go? And, I mean, this is a strong list. I think I'm going to have to put it on top. Like, I think Fresh Prince, again, is like part of my DNA. taught me English, etc. and so forth. But New Girl, I chose, you know, willingly. Like, okay, because Fresh Prince I had to watch because I only had 5 channels at my disposal. But New Girl, I had the world. Like, the world was at my fingertips, and I chose her. And I loved her dearly. So I'm going to put her at number 1 in Home Sweet Home. I think that's the order we're going to go with. Okay, we're going to swiftly move along because I can't think about it for too long. Otherwise, I'm going to ruin this entire thing. Okay, so next up, second to last on today's list, we have another classic. Another classic with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Oh my goodness! Again, Home Sweet Home. Yes, Home Sweet Home. Now, listen. The only part of this series that kind of gets me is the propaganda of it all. But as long as you're aware that it's propaganda, it should be okay. Like, as long as you're aware of what it is, and as long as you're not signing up to be, you know, a member of the NYPD anytime soon, it should be fine. So aside from the propaganda of it all, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is arguably one of the best comedies ever made. So, like, I have to give credit where credit is due. I think I would put Brooklyn Nine-Nine above New Girl, which is crazy because I just profess my love for New Girl. But, like, again, it's a workplace comedy with, you know, a found family element to it. And yeah, I think I'm going to put it above New Girl. That's crazy. I've also rewatched Brooklyn Nine-Nine more frequently and more recently as well. So it's fresher on my mind. So yeah, I guess that's the order that we're going with. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is first up on the list for Home Sweet Home. And finally, the last comedy series up on today's list is Veep. And I don't know her. I'm so sorry to disappoint. I don't know her, but you know what? I want to get to know her because I found out that this series was created by the same guy who gave us one of the most iconic British series to have ever existed, The Thick of It. And The Thick of It didn't show up on today's list. Hopefully it will show up in a future one. But The Thick of It, let me tell you right now, is one of my favorite shows of all time. Regardless of genre, regardless of era, regardless of anything, The Thick of It is supreme to me. So if this guy made The Thick of It and then went over to the States and made Veep, I'm interested to see what he did with Veep, for sure. Like, I want to check this series out. So when it comes to the I don't know her category, Veep is at number 1 because I need to know her. I need to get to know her immediately. So guys, with all of that being said, this is my final tier list of comedy series, at least for part 1. But that's it from me. Now that I told you guys my thoughts on these comedy series, it's time for you guys to let me know what you thought of these shows down in the comments below, and also be sure to let me know what other comedy series you would like to see featured in a follow-up video. I definitely have a substantial list, okay, but I'm sure it's not exhaustive still, so be sure to give me your recommendations in the comments. In the meantime, guys, please be sure to subscribe to catch your videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.